And we're live.
Hello.
And we're here.
How on earth that guy did Dusty Bin did 3, 2, 1? I could never. That's a reference for the over 50s. Dusty Bin.
The Dusty Bin.
Oh,
Rusty.
don't start. Don't give me
Rusty.
that. Dusty Bin. 3, 2, 1. The guy on
3, 2,
ITV.
1.
Oh, that just sounds like I've never heard of Dusty Bin like being a.
Was it Dusty Bin?
That sounds like
Rusty.
that sounds like a
Rusty,
1950s
Well,
doo-wop
70s.
singer. Dusty Bin's in his hit single.
He sounds like one of the Dandies gang. Yeah.
The Bash Street Kids.
The Bash Street Kids. Yeah.
The Backstreet
So,
Kids.
is it, have I been saying it wrong all this time? Is it Rusty Bin or Dusty Bin?
I don't know. Either or. I don't know which one it is.
It was like it would be on like After Bullseye with Jim, whatever his name was. Then Dusty Bin. 3, 2, 1.
As I went to the shops the other day, there was a guy walking with like such a good Bullseye shirt. I was like, but I thought, social distancing means I can't go up and ask him because it's just a bit weird from the other side of the street being like, "Oh mate, where'd you get your shirt?" Because it might seem, and I had a mask on, so it might seem like I was heckling him. But I genuinely was like, "Oh, that shirt is awesome."
You had your Wuhan mask on, did you?
I did have my Wuhan mask on. Yeah, because
Or was it a big shop then, or just down the corner shop? Or?
It was it was to the supermarket, like one of those metro ones. I think that's given away. Which but no one. They've got like the sign saying go this way around the shop. They've got things saying 2 meters, and everyone just goes around like fucking.
Do you know what?
Like,
yesterday, I realised there was arrows on the floor in different shops. I didn't realise.
Yeah.
So I didn't. Yes, just a little.
I'll give you the dyslexic pass on that one.
Yeah,
maybe you didn't see the sign saying "Look out for the arrows," or you couldn't read the. You were
I did
like,
feel
oh,
like
Well,
I
no
was getting
one's
off
paying
that.
any attention to it.
Yeah.
So I mean, fair enough. It's not like you're like going, "Why is everyone standing in that queue?" And it's just everyone's doing whatever, you know.
Right, so we're still here then. So
we are still here. That was so resigned, wasn't it? That was so disappointing.
Well, we're still alive, I suppose. Yeah.
Oh, they're supposed to be doing an
meeting.
announcement today, aren't they? About
Yeah,
something?
tonight. Yeah.
Whatever it is, people are just going to abuse it anyway. So you need draconian rule in these sort of things. You need to say you are not doing this.
It was the shops can open if they're safe. I'm like, look, somebody's just going to look at their share price and decide that we're safe.
Because all the coffee shops are opening. So when did that happen?
Pret, I heard that Pret and some of the coffee shops are opening. Yeah.
I assume they would just take out. No, what do you mean, like as in actual sitting in?
Apparently, not sitting down, but you're allowed in.
Yeah.
Apparently, and to keep social distancing. Apparently, like a couple of Prets and stuff, and a couple of coffee shops. Yeah,
But that surely that's something you go. No, you're not getting the. You're not. You're a coffee shop. There's no need for that to open. I can even understand if you just sell food, but
yeah,
it's just.
But it's not an essential. Certainly, coffee is not essential.
And then because you see a lot of people outside the coffee shop, people then see people out. Going, oh well, then maybe you can go to the park. If I can see a lot of people outside the coffee shop, then I can do this, and then everyone just spills out. Again, they need like proper rule.
It's one thing if the offices were open and businesses were open and people were stopping and getting a snack and a drink, when they're on their way to work, but they're not. So
I remember Socrates. I liked some of his stuff, but he would go
the early mixtapes,
yeah. But
he said, the studio,
his early acoustic stuff.
Yeah.
Before he went
solo career. I liked his solo career.
Yeah.
But he said like. It's annoying because he said, "Look, no, people need to be ruled. They're not fit to govern themselves. They need somebody at the helm." And I hate that sort of thing. But every year passes, it's like I'm being forced into a corner.
Well, he said the Spartans were right, had it right with their system, and then the Spartans conquered the Athenians. So, they did also make Socrates drink poison. The Athenians were like, "Hey, shh, free speech, but shh, drink this poison, shh."
But also he was like, hey, maybe we should just put one dude in charge, maybe an older man with a beard, who's particularly good at philosophy and likes fucking boys, and maybe looks a bit like this. I don't know,
a bit like Jesus.
Name rhymes with Mocrates.
I'm just putting it out there. Many have said,
Like when he was dying in the hemlock and he had the people crying around him, and he basically said, for God's sake, he said, I didn't let women in because I knew they'd be crying, and you lot were all crying. More or less, it wasn't in that.
Isn't that the thing in Highlander?
I haven't seen that.
when he's dying, and they're like, the last thing I should hear is a wailing woman.
Is that what he says?
Yeah, and that sounds like a really bad Scottish accent, but that's probably better than
better
any
than
Scottish accent in Highlander.
Well, it was an accent. It was an attempt at an accent, so that automatically makes it better.
Yeah, because good old Christopher Lambert. You've got a Frenchman who at the time didn't know enough English. Basically, read his lines. I think he had learnt English by that point, because when he did Greystoke, he had to mouth the words phonetically, and they dubbed him when he was playing Tarzan. And then you had a Scotsman playing a Spaniard who originally from Egypt. Like, what is this fucking film?
The best version of any dubbing anywhere is it's never been beaten. It's the Arnold Schwarzenegger Hercules in New York.
Oh God, that's so bad,
because
isn't it?
It wasn't dubbed. It wasn't, but they his accent was just so thick. He couldn't. He's in the autobiography. They were saying he hadn't been here that long, so he was saying words, but he was more saying sounds because he didn't know what the words meant that he was being given to say. So just think of that. It's like me trying to speak Chinese. Yeah, I know the sounds, but I don't know what they're meaning as I'm saying them.
I was thinking, was that a Christopher Lambert film with where he's like a druid? It's like set in the French things, and they're fighting the Romans.
Oh God!
It's like it's a terrible film, but it's an international production, and there are literally scenes. So they have bits of people. Some people speaking English, some people speaking French in the same scene, and some people speaking Italian. Like literally, like some because they've got these actors from everywhere. So there are points where it's ADR'd, and there are some people just going,
oh no,
and like because they just didn't know the dialogue, so they're literally going
Planet of the Apes. Just
yeah, and like they just going, well, actually, the Roman legion, you know.
See, there was
mouth opening like that.
Yeah.
There was a film a couple of years back. It's okay, like it's one of those films, like, you know, it's not amazing, but it was called The Eagle, and it was about it was where the actual story took place in Germany, the Teutoburg Forest, where the idea that the legions got lost. And so they attempted to recover the eagles of the legions, but they had their deliberate choice was that any actors who were native Britons were English or British, sorry. So you had some Scots in there, but you had British in there, or if they were the Romans, they were North American. So it was a deliberate choice, just so they could speak the same language but have a different accent.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, which I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of like an interesting way to do it. Because otherwise you end up with war films where you've got everyone speaking English but in their accent. So you've got like the German speaking English in a German accent, the French speaking French in a French, and you're like, what?
I don't mind that too much.
What was there was was it what was the one with Tom Cruise where he plays a Nazi?
Oh,
Valkyrie.
Yeah, where they just went, look, let's just all speak American. Let's not get tied up in the just do that. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. You get me.
Yeah.
I quite like that film.
It's all right. Yeah,
there was
good.
Thinking of now Pumping Iron, not Pumping Iron. What was it called? Hercules in New York. There's a bit where it's like it's exactly the same feeling I get watching that as I do with the Star Trek original series. Like it's horrendous, but there's a certain charm to it that you go, it's not. It's of its time. It's got nothing to work with. It's oddly quite deep at points. And there's one bit where, because they're in New York and the little bloke he's with, he's arguing with the taxi driver and he's going...
Isn't that twins?
Sorry? Yeah, I mean, that was the early twins, basically. I forget that guy's name. He was a well-known actor. But anyway, he's in the cab and the cab, he's like, say, give me the money. He's going, give me $1. And he's going, I ain't got no bucks. He goes, hey, man, give me a dough. He goes, I haven't got any dough. And then Arnold goes, bucks, dough? What is all this zoological talk?
Oh, God.
That's quite good.
It's quite cute.
I'm Hercules.
Yeah, well done. Movie. Well done.
There's little things like that, and at the end,
pat the movie on the head. Go, well done. That was amusing.
And at the end, when Arnold leaves this guy who's now become his best friend, he becomes quite sad, and he sort of goes home and starts drinking. You go, oh, it's quite well done. But it's everything in between.
Yeah.
Like the bear suit that you can't tell if it's a bear or a dog. It's just a place that you're a bloke, and you can hear it's supposed to be in Grecian times. But you can see it's in the thingy park. What's the New York park?
Central Park?
Central Park, yeah. And at certain points you can hear beeping from tank cars in the background.
Oh, God. I mean, it's odd because of all the people... Because Arnold is... Obviously, he's the bodybuilder, but he's so connected to his voice.
Yeah.
To the voice.
When you watch it, it's funny. Hercules does not need no money. I'm Hercules.
Yeah, it's really odd. Yeah, it is really odd.
But again, you let it all go for the sort of every 20 minutes. There's a nice little moment.
Yeah.
Anyway, so So actually, when we was talking about sort of people that you agree with, but have sort of intelligent comments about stuff that you find hard to agree with, like we need to be led. That I've heard something the other day.
Give up your freedom, yeah.
Yeah, but it's sort of like,
Obey.
I'm going through the thing of thinking I've been fighting for people, but it's like they constantly let you down. So you go, I hope it's not like a naivety on my part that you do have to come to the point and go, no, you've got to be led by somebody. You're just fucking stupid. Anyway, so I was listening to something by Ted Kaczynski, the well-known bomber. No, it wasn't the Unabomber.
The Unabomber, yeah.
Was he?
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, God.
But the thing was,
That's definitely getting a me somewhere, like FBI headquarters.
the cameras have just flashed onto some NSA.
Yeah, God, I'm not putting that in the description of the episode.
Hashtag. Well, no, because but the thing was, he was like highly. He was one of those blokes that was so highly intelligent that he just removed himself from society. But
he's a really interesting character. Actually.
Yeah, so he wrote the manifest that he put down. And this is, you got to think, this is 1971 that he wrote this, right, in one of his manifests. It is argued that continued scientific and technological progress will inevitably result in the extinction of individual liberty. And you go, well, that's the fucking early 70s, he said that. He said about the fight against it. This cannot be done by popularizing a certain libertarian philosophy unless that philosophy is accompanied by program of concrete action. And that sort of works with a lot of stuff. There's no point talking about shit all the time. There's no point going all this every 4 years or whatever. You don't do anything. You keep fucking moaning. There's got to be no point saying, we're liberal. You've got to come up with a plan of action. What was all the lot that stuck their tents up outside housing Parliament, and they did it in New York a few years ago.
The Occupy
money. Yeah. Everyone was saying, like, why are we here?
Yeah.
What are we trying to achieve? You can't just go, look, we hate you lot. Yeah, what are you here to go? What's your goal here? There won't one. There's nothing.
This is what I say to you about, like, your idea of, like, we've got to start, the revolution. I'm like, yeah, but what comes next?
Yeah. So,
and then, you know what I mean? It is that.
Yeah.
But so his thing was like, there's a lot of common sense. He was saying that technology is going to fuck everything up, and he was a smart guy. He was a really smart guy. A mass murderer. But
yes, but successful. I mean, he got away with it for a long time, didn't he?
Yeah, he was really because he didn't fit any early model of what a nutter should be. He didn't have swastikas on him. He was just he was a professor, I think, that something like that.
PhD, doctor.
Right, yeah. So that's Ted Kaczynski thing. Oh, there was something that popped up. I keep hearing Marx and Trotsky and all these people, right?
Yes.
See, my problem is I was watching certain things, so then everything following that popped up was always like directing me. So why Marx and Trotsky? I've been hearing those for years. Why? What is their basic philosophy? Karl Marx.
Marxism.
Yeah.
I like that you've thrown at us. Please explain the whole history of communism.
Yeah, both of them.
Right.
Quickly.
Okay.
Yeah. Charles, get your old school books out. Pull them out from under the bed.
I've got the Communist Manifesto.
Yeah, same. I've got it upstairs, and I've got Das Kapital, I think.
But because I see these, and they go, right, they're good, but no, then they're not good, or I don't understand what it's supposed to be admired or not admired.
I suppose the idea is to separate Marx from the movements that follow, but also you've got to, Stalin is not really a communist.
Yeah, and then they go socialism. They go, right, I'm lost here now. I don't know what So Karl Marx, what did he believe? What's his basic thing?
He believed in that his whole thing was a critique of capitalism.
Right. Okay.
In that capitalism would always eventually lead to such huge disparities between rich and poor.
Yeah.
That it would ultimately lead to a revolution or a violent overthrowing of the system. The system would become so unfair and so unjust.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Just because
it's built into the system to fail from the start at some point.
Yeah, effectively, because it never really dealt with, because capitalism was an evolution from feudalism, basically. It was the next step from sort of feudalism. We sort of, went from an agrarian serf kind of society where you worked the land and you had the lord, and you weren't really free, you were tied to that land. Then businesses started sprouting up, and then you had a middle class were created, and then industrialization, manufacturing suddenly came along, and people suddenly left that and then moved to more urban areas, and then you had all these other problems, the mills and all the factories, and kids working down the mines and all this crap. So basically, his was a response to that, and he said that basically we never really got rid of feudalism, the injustices and the inequalities in feudalism, and all we did was replace these lords with bosses.
Right. Okay. So it's
still the same power structure. You're still
so that
tied
works.
effectively.
That's something I would agree with. Then there's no downside to that.
Well, eventually he said that it would become so. There would be certain stages. There would be socialism, where you would have a more effectively a more democratized workforce, and more of a say that as the workers would gain the means of production. You probably heard that quite a bit. They would then have more of a say, more of a stake in society, gain more control, and eventually this would lead to a communist society, which is a society without government.
Oh, right.
Because once you get rid of all social classes, they said that class is struggle. That all wars and all things, all struggle and all societies, all through class, is all caused by class struggle. The conflict between rich and poor, or working middle, and the proletariat and the owners. Basically, the workers and the people who own the means of production, to the factory owner, the factory workers, factory owners, effectively. So eventually, you would get rid of the classes, effectively, and the workers would gain the means of production. They would own the factories. It would become democratized, and you would not need a society. There would be no laws, no society, no police, no nothing, because you would be in a utopic society.
But is he saying that's a bad thing?
I think he's saying that's a good thing. That ultimately, due to things would become so bad that eventually, it's just a numbers game, really, I suppose, because ultimately a system whereby a handful of people, or a very, very small group of people, own and control and dominate all power and wealth is unsustainable.
So what about the Trotsky then? What's that opinion? Andrew?
I suppose that's an expansion. Because
it's the same sort of thing. It's the same sort of...
Yeah, I mean,
it's
Trotsky,
like splitting
for example,
Christianity up. It's like...
there's all sorts of schisms. So you have different types of communism. If you look at Russia's, there kind of was, at the time, obviously other communist revolutions did succeed to degrees, but at the time, that was probably the one I would say probably closest to the actual birth of communism. There was an attempted effort to make Germany after the war also. So it all kind of came up around during and after the First World War. So in China, you had it as well to a degree, but that was ultimately defeated. And then, so Russia, basically you had Lenin in charge, and they were trying to make a communistic society, but you've gone from absolute totalitarian authority almost to the point that there's no middle class in Russia, despite claims to the contrary, because it's all run by oligarchs and nobility, and you've got the Tsar at the top, who's basically God. So they tried to create a communistic society, and I think we can say that on paper they succeeded. In actuality they didn't, and Russia was still just ruled by those at the top, and an enormous gulf down to those at the
socialism. Socialism is fairness and workers being involved in the.
I would say socialism is still dependent on the idea of a state.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Is the workers owning the means of production, but there still being a state as we understand it? Yes.
So socialism would be, for example, the NHS is an example of socialism, because you're paying in your taxes.
So what's wrong with socialism? Why is that such a big bad word?
Well, that's more an American view.
Oh, right.
That's more an American view. So, their idea of the NHS is communism, as far as they're concerned, because even though it completely isn't. So they just have an extreme aversion to anything that's not all. Again, this is a generalization, but not all Americans. So, there are many Americans who speak very highly of the NHS, and use it and talk about it as a model. But they just have this, for them, socialism and communism. It's a sort of trying to think of a sort of equivalent example, but it means if you're a socialist, then you're a communist, and communist is evil. But really, it's simple. It almost boils down to as simple as that.
Anything left of a libertarian, really, because to most Americans is considered a communist.
Yeah, they don't really have a left. They have left leaning, but it's much more centrist. Yeah, their idea of left is, I think, by most people's definition, centrist.
Yeah, you'd be like David Cameron. They consider like David Cameron to be like a lefty in the
right.
Like a sort of liberalish conservative. A middle of the road conservative will be considered quite left in America. And it's not really.
I was listening to a YouTube video the other day, and there was a guy, I can't remember his name, really good guy, and he was saying, you have got socialism. He said, it's for the rich. He said, they're the ones that get the tax breaks. They're the ones that get the benefits. He said, it's socialism for the rich, and it's capitalism for the poor. He said, they promoted it as the opposite, but it's not. They're the ones getting all the bailouts. He said, we can't give them this money. They shouldn't be paying the NHS. We shouldn't be paying this. But hang on, how many bailouts have you been given? How much money have you been given tax breaks? You've literally are working on a socialistic program of getting benefits and cuts and taxes and things like that, but down the bottom, they want some money for their benefit dole. No, we don't live in that sort of society. You go, how many breaks have you had?
Well, you're patted on the back if you get a rebate or a grant or even just money straight up, cash sum from the government. You get 100 million and you're patted on the back and told you're bloody good chap and well clever. If you take 50 quid to buy a week to buy food, literally buy food so you don't die, you're scum and you deserve to die in a ditch.
It's so mad that we've just been sold that you go, no, there's trillions of fucking benefits. If you're rich, the benefits ain't down the bottom, it's all up at the top. One company can take out the coffers of society what 100,000 families would take. Just that's one.
And
company.
Also, that company hasn't paid in the tax to even. Because the idea of getting benefits is that you've paid your tax, and therefore this is your. Tax is almost an insurance for not for everyone, but largely for people. It's your insurance.
A safety net.
Yeah. So if you've been able to work and earn and blah blah blah, I'm not talking about people who, for whatever reasons, haven't been able to work, haven't been able to hold down a job for whatever reason. But just broadly speaking, the idea is that everyone works, everyone pays their taxes, and as a result, the tax is there so that then if you lose your job, you can get some money back. That's very simplistic, sock puppety idea of socialism, or saying, you've paid in your taxes on the basis that yes, at the moment, someone else is getting the benefit of that because they're in the hospital, but you might go there. Essentially, And that's not to say that people who don't work or can't work don't deserve that, because often it's there, but for the grace of God, go I. It's the idea that you could then, today you're working and paying in your tax, and they're not working and taking benefits, and then tomorrow flip reverse.
Well, look at the situation now. Look at the situation now. And we had the similar thing. 2007. The government stuck its hand in its deep pockets and shelled out a ton of cash to banks and institutions, financial institutions, to underwrite them and pay off debts and stuff. And now we're doing that. Now it's our turn for them, government to sort of say, hey, could you maybe give us a bit of cash so we all don't die and we don't end up with huge. Remember, this is our money as well. Can we have some of our money back, please?
That's what I always find baffling about the American attitude to healthcare. I'm like, it's your money. It's your money. The government doesn't have. Well, I mean, yes, there's reserves and things, but broadly speaking, the government doesn't have any money.
They don't have any money. Their money's gone if you don't stop paying in. But it's fucking mental. It's basically Big Brother has convinced you of this story of what society is supposed to be, and it's a fucking great lie. I said before, when I want to go into London, I have to drive over through East London, and I see all the sort of rising up of all the skyscrapers of HSBC. I'm telling you, every time I just see a Hoover just plunked onto the earth, just siphoning up all the fucking cash in trillions. That's all I see, it going up into the air, and I see it going onto a big pile in heaven, in a big sky. and we don't get to touch it.
We're just going out to the Cayman Islands, isn't it? It's literally just going out to like weird countries. You're like, is that a country?
It all goes to the Cayman Islands. They said
you went very weird. Caliban there with the idea of the riches in heaven.
Well, they said this is why
you thought the clouds did open.
The religion was born was because they said they needed you to know that don't worry, you'll get your money back in heaven. While we sort of spend it here on Earth, you go, well, hang on, no, I'll have mine here.
But I think it is also a fairy tale of like, look, I know stuff's shit now, but it will get better. It's not necessarily just that you'll get. Yeah,
but the rich don't believe in that. It's like something that's created as a delusion to go, listen, don't moan, don't whinge, don't be greedy, be nice. You'll be all right when we're dead. But at the moment, we'll greed and steal, and we'll have all the fucking parties.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you've had 17 children and 16 of them died, and you've got leprosy, but I'm still whipping you because you haven't tilled your field. While I'm off whoring and drinking and stuff and gorging myself, and
Charles, what was you going to say?
There was it's like the how the caste system in India is intrinsically linked, I think, to the sense of reincarnation.
Yeah,
where the fact that all the major religions in India except for Christianity, obviously, do incorporate reincarnation. So basically, keep your head down.
Yeah,
you'll be do what you're told. Be a good boy, and then maybe it'll be your turn next time. Yeah, next go round, maybe you'll be the one fucking people.
And you go, right, are you doing that as well? No, I've just got to go back to my mansion. I've got a party tonight. You go, right, it doesn't seem like. Are you lying to me? Are you sure when I'm dead I'm going to come? Yeah.
Oh, next time round, yeah. Honest, yeah.
I think it's interesting you say that, Charles. That I think the idea that. Next time, when you're reincarnated, you get to fuck people over. I think that's kind of. I wonder how much that is. We're not talking necessarily about Hinduism, but we're not. Let's just talk about the idea of reincarnation in general. If reincarnation was genuine and it said, but people were like, hey, but next time you might get to. If people did come back, how much would they be like? Well. I was abused and, robbed and made to slave away. How many? Let's talk about let's just a non-denomination specific reincarnation. But if it was a genuine thing, I wonder how many people would genuinely come back and be like, well, I'm not going to try and make it good. I'm just thinking, fuck it. It's like that film. It's a really good film called The Platform. It's not about reincarnation, but if you watched it, it's a really good.
It's on Netflix, isn't it?
Yeah. Have you seen it, either of you?
No, I read about it. It looked quite interesting.
Yeah, it's really good. I think it's. This isn't a spoiler. It's the premise of the film. Essentially, is that it's a sort of. I wouldn't say it's not necessarily. It's sort of like a prison complex. The idea is that you go inside to often to pay off debts and things. So. If you owe the government a lot of money, rather than having to slave away to pay off your debts, you can. Some people are in there for crimes, but some people go in voluntarily to pay off debts. So they owe 50,000. They owe their university tuition fees. So the idea is you go in for a certain amount of time, and this platform starts at the top and is laden with fantastic food. And it goes down each level, and people stuff themselves. It's only on each floor for a few, a minute or so, and you can't hold on to the food, otherwise they raise the heat in your room, so you burn. So you can't hold and store food. The idea is you have to sort of gorge yourself when it's on your level.
How old is this film?
It came out either this year or late.
It's either The Platform.
The Platform. Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. It's a Chilean. I think it's Chilean film. It's certainly Spanish.
Oh, hang on. Are we talking subtitles here?
Yeah, they're subtitles. Oh god. You could probably get dubbed. You could probably get it dubbed. You could probably get it dubbed. I would think. The honest answer is I don't know.
Oh god.
But it is really good. It's really good.
Have you ever read a book called The Dark Forest?
No, I don't think so.
It was a 3-parter on these sci-fi things. A while ago, and they had quite a good premise. Right, if you're reading this at the moment. Because I haven't got any sort of barrier
so
to tell me to stop.
Spoiler alert coming.
Yeah, just turn off now and come back in. Probably about 30 seconds. And there's a premise so the human race find out that they're going to be destroyed. There's another race on the way, traveling at light speed, but they're about 400 years away from Earth. And it's honestly, the audiobook was like 30 hours, I'm not even joking, like 27, 28 hours. And the idea was that they're on their way, can't remember their names, but they have planted things on the earth called sophomores or something like that. And basically, they're in every particle. And what they can do is spy on everything that's happening. It's in every particle in the atmosphere. So they're watching everything. It's how they control their own these sophomores are things that they use to control their own planet, so they can see everything that's going on everywhere. So the human race have got 400 years to sort of figure out what we're going to do, but they can't make any technological progress because they're obviously seeing everything that's happening everywhere. So they have to randomly pick 4 people on the planet and say, look, you've got unlimited power and unlimited resources to come up with an idea, but don't tell anybody. And it's really fucking, because if you tell anybody, they're in the atmosphere, they know what you're doing.
Okay,
so you have to not tell anybody and come up with these ideas. And the whole way through, you're thinking,
why 4 people? Why 4 people?
I don't think that's explained. This is a long time ago, but it's basically just straight out. One person's in China, one person's over here, and one person doesn't want it. But they pick very smart people. That's the thing. But and there's all other stories twisted in amongst that. But it's basically that you've got 400 years, and one of the guys, one of the 4 gets sick, and they can't cure him, so they put him into like cryogenic and say, look, we can't kill him, we can't change it onto somebody else, we've got to leave him. And honestly, you can do what you want. You've got unlimited resources, and nobody's going to question anything you're doing. You can all the money in the world, whatever. So they have to put him into cryogenically freeze him, thinking when we can heal him, we're going to have to bring him back to life. So he goes to sleep, and I think the book starts with him waking up or something, and it's like now they're only 200 years away, something like that. But anyway, spoiler.
Here it comes, spoiler alert.
Well, the thing is, what they realise is this guy, I think he's, I don't remember his name, it's like Lao Si or something like that. But he thinks, because he doesn't want it, he's sick of all this, he basically wants to die himself. He says, he communicates with the aliens, he says, look, you're on your way to kill us. He said, but I know how to, so they come up with a cure for him, bring him back to life. And he says, I can come up with a way. If you're going to kill us and there's no way we can stop you, because you think, how are you going to stop? You can't make any advancements. You can't do anything. Oh, they do send a probe, actually. When he wakes up, they've like the human race, space travel has gone up exponentially. So they've got a really amazing space force. But this one probe comes from
space
this race.
Force.
But they send the thing have one probe that turns up and just obliterates all of it just from one probe. So they're like, fuck, we got nothing. Anyway, so they're on the way, and he says to them, well, okay, look, you any planet you go to, you're just going to take over. But he says, if you kill us, he said, I've got a way. He said, I'm going to send out a message to the universe to pinpoint where you're coming from. So basically, you might kill us, but I'm going to tell everybody that there's a race there that can kill you. So unless everyone right now goes and kills them, they're going to kill everybody. So if you're out there, go to this one place and attack it. With them now being on the back foot of like, oh, we don't know what technology other planets have got. So, but he said, yeah, but I have to send out a message that basically said, look, everyone, this thing is going to kill everybody. So unless everyone now goes to this one pinpoint where they've come from, we're all going to die one by one. So you might as well just go and all
everyone get together and just like
the whole universe basically. And they basically go, all right, and they turn around and go back again.
Okay, well that's good on them. That's good of them. Yeah,
and that's one of 3 books, and that was 27 hours long audio. That was. So
where do they go in the rest of them? Like, where do you go from there? You know what I mean? That's an interesting idea. But like,
there was one called, I think it was called The Third Body or something like that. But it became so convoluted that people were like, no, this is just too messy. No, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work. Even that one, there was a lot of reviews of saying, look, how can you just have 4 people with all the power of... People aren't going to agree to that. And but anyway, so I thought it's like a movie. You got to let certain things go for the sake of the story.
Yeah.
So that was my book review. That
was,
bit of education.
Charles, I have it on good authority.
Don't forget to hashtag that. The Dark Forest.
The Dark Forest. I have it on good authority that Theo has finally, he might have told you, finally watched Code of Honor.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't tell him.
The notorious Star Trek episode that we've...
There was a few things I was angry at. There's a few things. The racism was one part of it. Firstly,
a pretty big, pretty notable part.
There is so this is the what was it called? The something
Code of Honor.
The Code of Honor. Yeah. So this is the second
Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yeah, where they go to a planet that's basically Africa, and then they
but like generic 1940s version of Africa.
Yeah. So Victoria. I mean, you're giving it too much credit. This is like Victorian. Yeah. Human zoo type shit.
I mean, it never really deviated from what it wouldn't be Africa. There's no they didn't have a weird hat or something. It was just there we go. They just dressed up. But anyway, my thing is, firstly when I saw it, so it's got Patrick Stewart, which he's too good to be in that show. What was that weird sort of camera that they switched over to in the 80s that had that grainy sort of look to it?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
A weird thing,
it was always clearer when you're watching the original Star Trek, but in the 80s they went into this weird... I noticed it with like The Outer Limits as well. When it went from the 60s, black and white, 70s, in the 80s, the cameras were changed with TV filmmaking where you get this weird... It just looks very odd.
They probably just wanted it cheaper.
And they come out of it again in like the 90s, but in the 80s there was some sort of... Something was... I don't know what it was, but they started filming on something that just looked very odd. But everyone was immaculate, overly good looking. They were sort of this out model features. Whereas in Star Trek, you sort of go, well, that's somebody looks like that and somebody looks like that. But now they all sort of look like models, and they're all like 6'2", and you go, ah.
Well, it's the 80s, come on.
Yeah, but it's that. Yeah, you had that. But it had, as I said to Andrew, it had none of the charm of the first one. It was taking itself. It was now like, no, we're a serious TV program. Nobody's laughing here, and we're serious. And you go, at least they were sort of a bit of fun in the first one. It was sort of like a little bit light-hearted. It was, but it was basically a racist show. I don't know what else to say about it. It was just
it's really bad.
Another one.
I would say almost skip ahead to season 3. Then it's because then they also stop lecturing you. Like the early ones were like almost like after school specials at times. It was like here's the moral message, kids.
Yeah.
But there are some really, really good episodes, and there are some good episodes that still hold up, I'd say as well.
Like what?
There isn't one. I watched one the other day about this Romulan guy, and like he defected.
Yeah,
and it's called The Defector. Yeah,
it's a Defector. Yeah, and
they worked long and hard on the title.
Yeah. Up all night in the writing room, boys.
Yeah, because all
we
the
just
old,
go with our first choice? Now, fuck it.
Yeah, but all the old Star Trek, the titles had sort of allusions to ancient, philosophy, and like the episode with the guy who's insane and has the power to manipulate people in the original Star Trek. He can shapeshift, and they call the episode Whom Gods Destroy, whereas by the time of Star Trek Next Generation he'd be called like Mind Control Man.
Mind Control Shapeshifting Man. No, but The Defector was really good because this guy came along and he was like, I've got information that my guys, that the army I'm working for, are going to invade you secretly,
right?
And I don't want that to happen. I'm not a complete dick, and like this is going to cause a big war that's going to kill billions of people. This is really bad. And then they're like, and the way he escaped was a bit dodgy, so they sort of investigate it, and they're like, well, they didn't know whether he was lying or trying to set them up, or whether
it's because he posed as a low-level nobody, didn't he? Just posed as like, I'm an intelligence analyst, and then it turns out he's like an admiral,
a general or something. He's like very high-ranking, and they're like, so his story didn't kind of add up really, and he was lying a bit here and there, and blah blah. But it was really, really interesting. I mean, that's really well done, really well that's really it's good. The one where Worf gets paralyzed.
Worf,
top notch. That's a really good one.
He's not in Code of Honor for some reason. Yeah, for some
it might
reason.
confuse the audience. Yeah, there are too many black people.
But they've got Geordie, so it's not like, oh, let's quietly have all the black people in the crew off on an away mission so that when we go to Planet Racist, it's not so.
They're not like, hang on a sec, guys. Yeah, like.
Yeah.
When I was watching it, there was just some weird young bloke that looked normal.
Oh,
like a
Wesley
human being.
Crusher. Yeah.
And I was also thinking, why is he some like weird Erastes? Like, is he just bit on the ship for the pleasure of like older men?
Well, with the Next Generation, they went with the idea
I was thinking, what was he?
Oh, it's because they went with the idea that now that they're exploring deep space, going further than ever before, crews would be allowed to have their families on the ship because otherwise they'd never see them again.
Oh, right. What do you think about that thing where they say, right, we need it's so funny. I don't know what the thing is called, but they say, right, we need to send human beings out on a mission that's going to take so long that you're basically going to have kids on the way.
Generational ships.
Yeah, I think that's yeah. But then you've got the problem of like, well, you're technically giving birth on a prison. Like that person has no choice.
Yeah.
But then you've got the added problem of like, by the time they're halfway, we will have developed technology in those hundreds of years that will actually just catch up with them and take over anyway. So why send them out in the first place? If you're like trillions of light years away and then we come up with some warp drive that in 1,000 years can just overtake them, you go, well, what was the fucking point of us having gone all this way? And in 1,000 years, you've now just...
I suppose it's the backup option in case you can't develop that.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
But yeah, the world ends or whatever, mankind... Finally, we'll be lucky to make it to the end of Trump's first term at this rate. I mean, come on.
Yeah. It might be an escape capsule. We never sent you out to get anywhere. It was an escape capsule.
Well, like in Planet of the Apes, we're just going to go back in time.
You come back. Oh God. I still think them earlier Planet of the Apes are better because all the newer ones got CGI. That's all they've got.
Come on. The second one has a chimp riding a horse wielding 2 machine guns. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. I was in the cinema, just like, what an age of wonders we live in.
That second one is solid. That is really good. It doesn't have any dialogue.
Do you know what it is? The second one, I think the third one I didn't enjoy, so that's the one I remember. I think the second one was the best one. The first one was
really depressing. Like I watched it.
The third one is super bleak
because it's just like it's a concentration camp story. It's so depressing. You're like, Jesus Christ. I was like, this got dark. This story about like future monkeys got dark. Man.
But that's life. It went a bit nihilistic at the end. This is what it is. I know you want a Hollywood movie, but this is what would happen.
Well, I mean, bear in mind the original, they retconned it, but bear in mind in the original Planet of the Apes film series, spoiler alert for something that's probably 60 years old now, it ends with, beneath the Planet of the Apes, it ends with them discovering that humanity has survived, only a small fragment of it, and they live as these irradiated mutants. And because their base has been discovered by the apes, they launch nuclear bombs inside the Earth's core and destroy the planet. That's how the film ends.
The whole franchise ends,
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember how they retcon it in number 2. I think it's something like they stopped them, or it only blew up some of it, or maybe that's the reason they go back.
Didn't they go back?
That's the reason. That is the reason they go back in time, isn't it? Yeah.
And then because these monkey astronauts, they literally go back in time to like Chimpeto, But yeah, they go back in time to like People World, and then they're like,
Monkey
what the fuck is this? They're like,
but it works as a weird loop because the chimps going back in time is what creates the Planet of the Apes.
I wonder if they're going to continue with that and sort of do the beneath the Planet of the Apes and all that sort of stuff. Or is that just
apparently
too far
they are doing a 4th one. I mean, they've all been quite successful. Yeah, the first was quite successful. The second one was mega successful. I think again helped by the fact that the poster had because the first one's poster was quite kind of mysterious. It sort of had. I think it just had the dialogue, just had the title "Planet of the Apes" with a silhouette of the chimp's eyes. The second one just went, "Fuck it, let's just go balls out." And
We've got money now.
The poster was the chimp on the horse with the machine gun, and everyone was like, "I don't know what." Even if you hadn't seen the first one, you were like, "I want to see that." Just 5
You don't
minutes
need to see the first one. The first one isn't very good, to be honest.
It's fine. I was quite impressed. I think
it's doable.
Okay.
But you wouldn't want to watch it twice in any way. There's no way.
No. You watched the second one. I watched the first one. I watched them back to back. And I watched the first one. And I was like, this is okay. This isn't bad. It's okay. And then I watched the second one. I was like, whoa, this is really good. What the fuck?
Yeah, it is a big step up in quality. I would say the first one it takes a little long to get going. The whole like, hey, they're torturing them in the zoo. I'm like, bigger, like, let's go bigger with this, guys.
Yeah.
I think the third one had too many writers. It was like, oh, we've got a load of money to play with this. Let's try and force it. When they put, who's Woody Harrelson? He shouldn't have been in there. That pulled you away from the film too much.
Well, it's the crazy general.
Yeah, and he's too crazy, like over the
Colonel
top.
Kurtz, just like shaving.
So it became a caricature.
Because the Gary Oldman character in the second one was kind of, he was sort of a quite complicated.
Yeah.
He wasn't an out and out villain, was he?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is a really, because the trailer and sort of set him up kind of almost as the Woody Harrelson character that we saw in the third, as this very anti-Abe kind of character, whereas in it he was, although he did some, I suppose more so towards the end, quite villainous things, and in response to I've forgotten the character's name. Koba, isn't it? Is the bad? He's the bonobo, isn't
ape.
he?
Yeah, bad ape.
But not actual bad ape in the third one. But yeah, I was like, oh, this is a really interesting. You know, there's a few jerky kind of humans who are kind of jerks and don't like the animals and stuff, but they're all supporting character. You know, they're basically.
It's not black and white, and it's not, and the sides are mixed as well. Like it's complicated, and it's not like this is the good guys, these are the bad guys.
Yeah, we're ram it down your throat.
Yeah, there are good people and bad people, and good monkeys and bad monkeys in either side. So.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was really. Yeah, I do agree that the third one. I enjoyed the third one. Well, enjoyed is maybe the wrong word, but it is very bleak. You're like, whoa. We kind of went there. So it'd be interesting. They have said that they're going to do a fourth one, because I think the third one still made quite a lot of money. It wasn't the months to hit the second one was.
Money,
So it'd be interesting to see if they do a fourth one. But I mean, apparently they are still.
He's doing Batman as well, isn't he?
Yes, you're right. Yeah, the same director. So
another Batman film.
Yeah, they're rebooting it.
They will never stop.
when we're on that generation ship, they're going to be making homemade Batman.
Who's the baddie in this one?
I think it's everyone, isn't it? It's almost.
I've seen
like
a Riddler.
They've got. I'm sure they've said Penguin.
Oh, Penguin.
Penguin,
sorry, Penguin.
Catwoman,
Colin
Catwoman. They've got.
No, okay.
Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell.
Wasn't Penguin the original Penguin in the the 60 one?
Burgess Meredith.
That was Rocky's trainer, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's like,
what was his name?
Burgess Meredith.
Burgess Meredith. Yeah.
Yeah. He's
Get up, you bum.
Yeah.
Also, one of my favourite Outer Limits shows were the I just want to read books.
Yeah.
Oh god,
there was time now. But the it's good old. But yeah, so apparently in the new Batman film, it's going to have it's going to introduce most of the whole.
Who's playing Batman
galleries.
now?
Robert Pattinson,
the guy from the Twilight films.
I can't get through them Batman film because I can't take the Batman.
It's because you're on the side of pain.
Just cough for God's sake.
You're on the side of pain. That's what it is.
But that's the equivalent to the Superman. Well, I've just put on some sunglasses. You don't recognise me now, do you?
It actually worked quite well. I don't know what they're doing for the. They haven't really said yet for the bat. I suppose because there hasn't been any. They released like a costume teaser trailer, just him in the costume, and that was the trailer. But it did look quite good.
The cycle and stuff.
Yeah.
There was a picture I saw the other day, and it was The Rock in some film they've done. The Rock and who's the other one? Vin Diesel.
The other one.
My
other bald, muscular guy.
They're stood next to each other.
We hang out. We have a club.
Well, I like Vin Diesel because he's not in as good shape or as good looking as me, so I thought I could squeeze myself in there because he's an ugly fucker. And he's not in that good a shape. I don't know why he just take his shirt off. I haven't seen any film with him in it, by the way. But basically, in this
Pitch
thing...
Black is good.
The what?
Pitch Black is good.
Yeah,
he's in quite good shape in that, actually, to be fair, if you're questioning his...
What's that?
Like 20 Pitch Black. He's in quite good shape in that one. I mean, it is 20 years old.
Again, with his full trainers and his fucking nutrition and diet. That's the best you can fucking do.
And he was all right in Saving Private Ryan for the 2 minutes he was in.
He wasn't in that, was he?
Yeah.
He was.
He got shot in the hand by the sniper.
Okay. But basically, in this thing, they were both stood next to each other, the filming of this thing, and they were the same size. I was thinking, hang on, one's 6'5", the other one's only about fucking 6 foot, but they've had this. And I'm thinking, if you're acting, it's like when they somebody was on the radio, they're talking about they were on the set of what was a Nicole Kidman, Tom Cruise film, Eyes Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah, and they said he had to walk along a plank when they're walking together. He had to be on a plank, and I was thinking, that ain't happening, mate. The dignity, your integrity, just how you must feel inside. Like when he's having a picture of him next to the Rock, and he's on like 6 bricks, and you go, "What that must make you feel like inside."
So who's the taller of the two?
Oh, the Rock's like 6'5", 6'4", but Vin Diesel's only like 6 foot 5'11", something like that.
Only 6 foot.
Well, that's not that big. But yeah,
it's hardly manly. Come on, yeah.
But then when you've got like Nicole Kidman, who's
that's
6'4",
someone who's 5'9", only 6 foot is a giant to me.
I don't know. I've never measured myself. Do you know how tall you are?
Yeah, 5'9".
Oh, really?
You do know?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Oh,
5'9.5".
You're shorter than me then.
I've never weighed myself, and I've never known how tall I was. All age, so I've got the trifecta going there. I don't know what other.
Yeah, not knowing how tall you are doesn't affect how tall you are. You are still a certain height.
True.
I know you're trying to be like,
doesn't matter either.
Yeah,
so
I know the age
thing.
one. You're trying to be like, oh well, then I won't know. Then I won't age, as it were.
Or
kind of thing.
looking at this, like people say, well, I've lost half a pound of weight today. But listen, if you look in the mirror, if you've lost weight, you know you've lost weight. If you haven't, then you haven't lost weight. I don't care about.
Yeah, I mean,
lost half a kilo of
first
water.
time of the day, you could have.
It's all
lost
water
half a
weight.
pound.
Most of it's water weight. How much water you're drinking and how much you're breathing. It's all water weight. So if you look in the mirror and you're a fat fuck, then you're a fat fuck. And if you look in the mirror and you're not a fat fuck, then you're not a fat fuck. The mirror, that's what you should be weighing yourself.
Have you ever considered a career as a wellness coach on Instagram?
No, but I am the personal development guru.
Yeah,
You fat fuck.
Yeah. I've got to stop swearing as well. That's the new thing when we get the show, the new show, which it's got to be the all new Vialucci podcast coming soon. Once we get back to normal life, got a lot happening.
What's happening to this for you? Are we putting it out of its misery like old Yeller?
Yeah.
It's just at the moment we're just one of those, the animals where they sort of drag themselves around. The bottom half's dead.
Yeah. It's only a matter of time now. Come on, guys. Yeah.
This
is episode 79, isn't it? I've realised as well.
Yeah, maybe when we reach 100, we're going to be reincarnated. That's what it
exactly.
is. Actually, that'd be good. Hopefully by 100 we should be back to normal because we can't do any. The thing with all this going on, we can't do anything.
Oh, it's 78. I said this was 79.
Oh, this is 78. Yeah.
Yeah.
So our hearing's gone. Our bad backs have gone. We're sort of right. So yeah, there's going to be a lot happening. So I reckon there will be an all new Vialucci. I had to sack the guy that did our new logo because it was horrendous.
Apologies if you're listening. Did you tell him it was horrendous?
Yeah, I said it looked shit. I said what I sent you looks better. The example of what I sent you is better than what you've done.
Oh dear.
It was.
So you didn't
offensive.
go with the. Thanks very much, but I'm just feeling we're going to go a different way. We're going to go a different direction.
Yeah.
Blah, blah.
No, but he
blah.
did get annoyed. He said it was taking 6 hours. I said, how can that take 6 fucking hours? I said, literally, what I sent you, I did in half an hour. What I sent you is half an hour's worth of work. And I said to him, look at what I did. I sent it to him. Look what I sent you again. And now look at what you did. I said,
the brutality of it.
So you really told him off then? That's good. Yeah, really.
But it was the annoyance that I'd fucking waited for like a week. And that's the shit. That's what I've lost a week for now. Because I'm thinking, right, now I've got to do all that again. Right, the web guy wanted it. And I said to him, I'll have it tonight. So that's the problem. The marketing guy, I was supposed to send it to him. So now that's the problem. So because of your fucking stupidity.
Did you actually let rip on him like this?
Yes. I mean, I wasn't shouting, but I said, look, I said, it's amateurish. I said, you're supposed to be a professional. That's what an amateur. And I kept going back, I don't know what I'm doing. And what I sent you is better than what you've done.
Yeah, that is quite bad when you do better than... I don't mean you specifically, but if you as the client...
Yeah.
And just quickly knock up...
Instead of redoing a whole thing, he'd copied stuff that I'd done and just put it onto his one. No, you're supposed to fucking do that.
That's a bit...
It's like that bit in the Simpsons Poochie episodes where they're like, right, you guys sit down and come up with a character name. Something like Poochie or something. I don't know, but better. It's like Poochie, but better. And they all sit around the writer's room and he leaves and they go, should we just go with Poochie? And they're like, yeah, whatever. So yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, what was the Star Trek episode you said? What's it called? The defector. I can imagine somebody in the first 5 seconds say, right, let's just scribble some names down, right? Defector. And after 2 days, they just go, what was that first one again?
yeah. There's like, screw it, let's go with defector.
But there's oh God, it was one of the Malcolm Gladwell books. And I can't remember the wording of it. It was basically that. It said your first idea is probably your best because the rest you just get too complicated. He said the first thing you come up with is probably going to be your best idea because it's off the cuff. It's the first thing that came to you, so it'll be the best thing. It'll be something other people recognise as the best. When you think about something too much, it's not real anymore because you're becoming very, very convoluted in the message you're trying to get across.
It's like shopping. I always find that I just go and I go into the first shop and I go, oh, that's nice. Maybe I'll buy that. And then I go to like about 3 or 4 other places, and then you're like, I'm gonna have to go back to the first place. That
explains why he's always eating dog food lasagna.
Mate, in Tesco's once, there was about a 3-month period, about 7 years ago, where they suddenly branched out these weird experiments. Like, they must have got somebody on board who said, let's make some weird sandwiches and see which one works. And one of them that I actually bought, and it wasn't a luxury range, it was more like a cheaper end of their range, because it was their Tesco's own, and it was lasagna sandwich, and it was only like £2. So it was like a cheap like petrol station bit of lasagna inside bread. And I was like, fucking hell. I literally bought it just as an experiment to go, what the fuck is that?
Because it was like a nice, like, just like inside that nice bread, like a layer of the nice crispy pasta, a bit of mince, a bit of...
In bread. I just think of Western cultures, Eastern cultures going, you pig sons of bit, you do. A lasagna. I saw once, maybe the most stupid bit of food that I've ever seen in my life, where you go, right, you just run out of ideas, and this has stayed with me. I can remember I went into shock, like how strange it was. I was coming out of a petrol station in Hertfordshire, and it was a Shell garage. I think it was a Shell garage, yellow, and I was opening the door to leave, and they had the kitchen, the refrigerated bit to the right, and I just looked down where they have like slices of cheese and milkshake and grated cheese and all that, and the little 4-pack sushi thing, and I looked down, and it was mozzarella sushi. It was sushi with mozzarella on top and in. And I thought, you're fucking like, that made it into mass production. Like, think of that. That wasn't like an idea that somebody said at a meeting and everyone laughed at him. That made it into production, into the shops. Like, what do you mean
mozzarella? What mozzarella sushi? What do you mean? Sorry.
Well, like cheese, mozzarella. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
in like California roll kind of thing.
Yeah, like on top, cheese on top.
Because I've seen like cream cheese in sushi.
Then you get vegetarian sushi with like
that's fair
beetroot and celery and stuff.
That's not sushi.
But it's not sushi, no, because it's not technically sushi.
Stop using it's like, I remember when I used to like those crab sticks. Used to be crabs. I used to love them when I was growing up. But then one day they automatically went to fish sticks, because you realise there's no crab in them. You just call them crab sticks, and there's zero crab in them.
Like the advertising people just went,
the amount of fish in them is fucking like nothing. It's legally just about to be classed as fish-ish.
Legally, you should call them sawdust sticks. Really.
Yeah, sawdust sticks.
I can't get on board with them.
But they're but they said, look, we can't do this anymore. We can't call it crabs. There's no crab in this at all.
So what is in them if they're not crab and
it's
they're
supposed to be
fish?
Fish. They're supposed to be fish, but I always look at the back of stuff to go, right, how much fish is in it? And it's always like 0.8% fish, reconstituted fish.
It is crazy, isn't it?
Well, that's capitalism, so really. That's like, right, okay, well, we can do this thing, but let's do it. We'll all got to put the best product in the market, but then let's pull back as much as we can to the point of breaking to it's legally. There was a guy actually I was listening to, he was in jail in America, and he was saying about the private jails. He said, been in jails all around America. He said, the private jails that came along were the fucking worst. He said they were the worst run. They had the cheapest fucking untrained people. So it all said, it's capitalism. The benefits, the prison, they'll be run better. You go, no. It sounds good to start with. But in effect, as soon as they're in, they then draw fucking back to save on money every little bit they can. It's humanly possible. And it's the same with food. Capitalism, we'll get a fair share, we get the choice. Yeah, but as soon as you're in, then you fuck everything up for everybody else. And you start lying and bullshit, and so you get and then you got the money, so you make it more convoluted, and you're just self-serving. Privatized prisons is a fucking crime against humanity. That is literally saying, I'm going to make money from keeping people in prisons. And all them private prisons over there, they say a lot of their funding that for the prisons get, the money they get, they pump it straight into like anti-drugs things and being harsher on crime, because they want their prisons full of people because of the amount of money they get per person.
It incentivizes locking people up and not rehabilitating them as well. There are some things that just shouldn't be run for profit. Some things that can't be run for profit.
Health, prisons. They just, I mean, you say
and there are some things that need to be subsidised by the government. I mean,
podcast.
yeah, definitely. Yep. Yeah. But I mean, there are some things that do need to be subsidized by the government. Because, I mean, if airports, for instance, are all pretty much built with public money, because if private companies had to build airports, no one would be able to afford to fly.
Wow.
The air tickets would be so expensive as to for a handful of people in each country. Genuinely,
I watched a thing. I think it was YouTube was listening to it. I can't remember, but it was basically about how airports manipulate you and you think you just walk in. You go no. Okay. There's millions upon millions of pounds that are designed to make you go. They change the tiles. Like, if they want you to slow down, they use a certain type of tile. If they want you to go a certain way, they'll have good-looking tiles going a certain way. They put clocks up everywhere, the opposite of like a casino. They want you to see what time it is because they think if you, for a second, don't know what time it is, you don't want to be late, so you automatically go towards the thing, past the shops, and go to sort of, let me get to the lounge. Whereas if you've got clocks up everywhere, you go, oh, it's okay, it's only at that time. Oh, it's okay. If there's no clocks, you go, oh shit, let's just just go. But then you pass all the shops. Oh. Yeah, but they want you to stay in the shops. So and they'll even get to the point where they'll have certain tiles, like you go in, and the one booth will have given more money, so the tiles will be nicer feeling that go that way into the shop, and they'll pay more to have a shop that can be in between where you want to get to. So you now walk through the shop to get to where it is you're going.
Oh, yeah.
Load. As I said, there's a mass load. The colours they use. They had the things with certain shops. It might have been I can't remember, the soap shops. They sprinkle outside tiny little crystals that when you walk on them, they give off a smell. They break and give a nice smell. So they're manipulating your nostrils to say, look, come this way rather than that way. He said, yeah, it's not. He said, millions. There's loads of money. So it's an industry designed to, how do you make people go a certain way and slow them down and speed them up? He said, if they can speed you up and slow you down by changing the type of tile you're walking on. That actually affects people.
Well, it's like there's a lot of time and effort put into supermarkets.
I knew he was going to say it. Yeah. Well, yeah, all the thing of like they know your eyes go right, your eyes don't go left, so put everything on the right that you want to sell. So automatically,
it's like Eddie Izzard thing. He said that's why all the fruit and veg are at the front. So you walk in and say, "This is a store full of fresh things. I will do well here." Instead of having the toilet stuff there, instead of "This is a store full of toilets. I will not eat well here. This is full of toilet things."
When I go into sort of like co-ops and all that, it happens once a week. I just notice things, and it is basically just turned into a sweet shop. Like you go, right, there's a couple of sandwiches and there's a thing over there, bits of rice and custard, but the rest of it is just now basically what you went into as a kid as a sweet shop. It's a sweet shop. It's crisps, chocolate, sweets. Even the stuff that isn't sweets is now sweets. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here's a sandwich, a chocolate sandwich. Here's a soup, but it's with chocolate. And you go, this is just a big.
Would you rather have a chocolate sandwich or a lasagna sandwich?
Yeah. The lasagna with chocolate inside. What was the one I see? Where's this chocolate pizza's been coming from? I thought that was like a weird thing that popped up, and now I'm seeing them everywhere. Chocolate pizza.
Chocolate pizza.
What are you talking?
It's in the Domino's pizza. I think it's Domino's chocolate pizza. And
you mean like Tesco's. It's got so it's like a pizza, but it's sort of stuffed crust, but it's got chocolate in it instead of cheese. Is that what you mean?
But then like in Tesco's, they've got it. The frozen ones, chocolate pizza. It's like you're taking it's like Willy Wonka just taking over retail. Like
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm writing this down so I can be like, order chocolate pizza.
I hate that. Like when I was in Mexico and stuff, they had this sauce with like chocolate in it. It's supposed to be like a mole sauce. It's supposed to be a thing like a local, like a hey, this is national dish, and I tried it quite a few times, and I never. It was like. But just it's not nice. I just don't like it.
European thing of let's just shove fucking chocolate in everything. Everybody's got to be diabetic by the age 2050.
Well, it's like South American thing, actually. Like they put cocoa beans in like a lot of South American cooking here and there.
Well, that's fair enough, but we're not using cocoa beans, mate. We're using like army grade chocolate. It's just
love the idea that Willy Wonka has secretly taken over.
If you go, oh, that would make sense. Now I see what's been going on. That's the only thing that would make sense. Like, why does chocolate have to be in everything? Oh, because they're manipulating your senses. It's like all the foods become sugary. Because what happened is in the 80s, McDonald's has spent a lot of money trying to make you want the food. But the problem was that they came up with something called hyperpalatable food. And I think I mentioned it before, where they realised if you have too much fat, people won't eat it. If you have too much sugar, people won't eat it. But when you mix sugar and fat together, it cancels itself out. And so you get things like cheesecake and milkshake, which are fat and sugar, basically. And they realised, that it doesn't fill you up, but it will make you want more of it. Again, because if I gave you a load of sugar, you wouldn't eat it. If I gave you a load of fat, you wouldn't eat it. But when you mix the two, they cancel themselves out, and it becomes this hyperpalatable food. So now everything's got fucking full of fat and full of sugar. Or if it's not, they say low in fat. But you turn it around, you're guaranteed there's a load of sugar in there. If it's load of sugar, you turn around low sugar, you turn around there's a load of fat. It's like just one big. Or what they do now to get around things is they say, a certain amount of fat or sugar per 15 ounces. But then the next thing will say per 30 ounces. You go, well, how can I get any reference points if you're doing it for 100 grams and they're doing it per, soup?
And the pack's like 25 grams or something.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And it's like, here's soup, but here's 100 grams worth of, because they had to put the food substance, the supplements on the back, like what was it, the ingredients. So then they went, all right, well, we're going to do that, but from now on, we're going to go, okay, well, half a tin is this. You go, well, hang on, now I've got to work out what half the fucking tin.
Yeah.
But it's literally, that's
5 tins worth is this much. And you're like, well, I'm only going to buy like a small tin.
But
like,
that should be legal. See, that's legal, but it's come back to morally, I should be able to call the moral police and go, right, this fucking arsehole here, look what they've got on the back of here. Half a tin is of this, is worth that. 5 tins, if you eat 5 tins.
Sir, please stop calling 999 to tell us about the soup.
But moral law, that's what I mean, moral law. That's why I go by moral law rather than legal law.
Which country? I read that there was some country a couple of years ago, and the food companies actually successfully repealed the sort of ingredients lists, so they didn't have to print the ingredients on the back, like exactly what was in there. Like
probably America.
Maybe. I don't know. It was some country. You were like, really? Like, and they were just dumping, and literally they were dumping loads of chemical crap in there. You know what I mean?
Sounds about right.
It's like, why do you want to become baddies all the time? Like, when do you go from being a 12-year-old to that?
I don't. Like, I'm still chuckling about your exasperation that has Willy Wonka taken over. Like, he's the power behind it all.
Yeah, if you just whip the fucking mask off, fucking Willy Wonka's under there with his wand. Or
just like, you're merely adopted chocolate. I was born in it.
Have you ever seen MSG?
Yeah.
The monosodium glutamate, the chemical,
the shit fat.
You're talking about the
it's in Chinese food.
Yeah. It's the stuff. It's famously the stuff they put in Chinese food that makes you just gorge yourself until you explode, like a pigeon or whatever, and with rice. Literally, I remember going to a Chinese supermarket in Birmingham, and they had these huge sacks of it, and it looked like crystal meth. Like it was these huge crystals, and like you're really, were you supposed to just take a bit out and like grind, like sprinkle it in your food,
just drink it?
But this thing of like when people have all these allergies and ADHD and all that, and you go, well, we just didn't know about it before. No, we're filling things full of shit, chemicals pumped into stuff. Stop giving that excuse. It's purely capitalism. That's what's creating all this.
That was
shit.
the thing that Chris Rock said. I can't remember which country he mentioned, but he said, do you think anyone if someone that been hit by famine or somewhere that, and he said, do you think that anyone there is lactose intolerant?
Yeah. Funny enough, the fellow I knew that was in jail, he said people turn up, he said, I swear it feels like every one of them's got something wrong. They're scared of spiders. He can't eat that. And he said within a month, he said it's all gone. He said, look, that's what he said. He said, it's all goes. Oh, I don't like small cells. I don't like eating this. I can't eat that. I don't like spiders. He said, within a month, it's all gone. You just shut up. That's what the thing is, and suddenly it goes away. But that's the weakness of Western culture as well. It's just this thing of just like we're so fat and bloated. We just any little
You're
bit
decadent
of stress.
Westerners.
Yeah, I mean just the
Soon
thing of like
learn.
I'm stuck in my house watching Netflix. Oh my god, you've no idea how hard this is for me. Yeah. 2 weeks before I was just watching about the trenches and people digging their own trenches. We're basically digging their own graves and lying in shit and piss. So I can't really.
Maybe it's time to change your trousers then, Theo. But speak for yourself on that one.
Oh, but it's God. But I'm hearing. I've been talking to a few people here and there, and I've had some stories and some tales, and people really coming to really going nuts over this whole thing, and it's just like you've got an internet connection, mate.
Yeah. You got food in the fridge, the lights
buy
are
a
on,
book,
you got Netflix.
buy a book, buy 5 books. You know what I mean? Like, there's stuff you can do. Go for a walk. Like,
I wonder if reading a book would, because there's a big thing that I figured out where the brain doesn't really, there is a difference, but it doesn't really have that big a difference between what it sees literally and what it imagines. Do you know what I mean? It's light. One's got light coming in and one's created internally. And I wonder if like with prisoners, I don't think it's just about time. I think reading a book where your brain goes somewhere and creates images in your head actually does help. It doesn't actually matter. I remember
it's certainly a very good form of escape.
Yeah, or at least something. It allows it something. There was they did studies on, was it Alcatraz? Yeah, Alcatraz Island, and years after they did this study where they went and found all these prisoners that were like kept in isolation, in literally what isolation means. There's no noise, there's no light. You're 5 floors down with no sound at all. And they spoke to these people and they said what would happen is after years, he said, you could start to see in the dark, not like, oh, I can see something moving. He said, I could see outside. It was as if there was a window there and I could see the grass. He said, it was like it was there. And I said, what had happened is the brain was struggling so much that it just threw up images that you think are now seeing. Because you're not seeing with your eyes, you're seeing inside. That's all you're doing. So if the eyes are no longer useful, the image then gets created to keep itself alive. So the vision, like, it's created the inside your head. It's not created outside. So whether you're seeing something outside or it's created inside, it's the same thing. It's just, where did the input come from? Did it come from thought, or did it come from the light bouncing off the eyeballs? And they said loads of them said, I'd start seeing outside. Even though I'm in pitch black, I could see the outside because the light was inside. And when I was first starting off with the magazine and realising I wasn't a fucking dunce and that I could listen, and I quit. Well, I still do security part-time, but I quit sales work and I got a job driving lorries. So then just for 4 years, I just non-stop. There was no 60-second period where I wasn't listening to audio. From when I was waking to when I was sleeping, toilet, bath, everything, there was audio. Not speaking to anybody, just driving the lorries around. And I was speaking to somebody once, and he said to me, why do you keep saying cops when you're talking about stuff? And I realised, because I've been listening to these American podcasts.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The input was just, that's what it was. So I thought, isn't it that it doesn't matter whether the input's coming from the outside or in, it's just what input is going into the brain. And this is why a big thing with personal development is who you're around. That affects who you are. But it's another one of these human traits that we can't admit to ourselves, that we are made up of people that are around us, because it makes us feel neutered that, well, I sort of get what you mean. But you go, no, you don't. You're what? I had an argument with a religious person once, and I feel bad about it because she was saying about Christianity, but it's only because she said certain things that was annoying me, like I'm missing out something, I'm wrong.
It was her fault. She was annoying me. Yeah?
And I said, yeah, but if everybody, okay, so you go to, if you don't believe in it, you're going to go to hell. Yeah. Any reason? Any sort of like things reasons that if I don't go for it, I don't go to hell? No. I said, okay. So what if I'm a tribe in the forest and I haven't heard of Christianity? Do I go to jail then? Do I go to hell then? Well, you go anyway. So, but my point is that what you're around is, you have to make that your what you hear and all the inputs you come in will change how your brain views things, which will then change how you act, which then changes the thing again. You can't just go, well, I'm me and blah, blah, blah. No, everything you listen to, all the podcasts you listen to, all the people that you hear, that's as important as anything you think you are. You have to understand, you have to admit to yourself, I'm made up of things that are around me. I can't help it. And anybody argues about that, a good way of distilling it is saying, where'd you get your accent from? Who told you your accent? Nobody told you it. Yeah. You were literally force-fed it until you became it. And that's what you do with wanting to be a certain type of person. You have to have inputs coming in that you're learning from, and that changes how you then view the world, which then changes how you act in the world, which then gives you your self-esteem with dignity. I've said before, who you are and how you feel about yourself and what you do in terms of what you think you can achieve is made up of what you did last year and the last 5 years, because you carry that person with you. If you're a lazy piece of shit who steals from people and lies, you then carry that inside you, which then you have a different view of the world. You think people are like you, so you continue to do that. If you work your bollocks off, even though you haven't got anywhere, if you've worked your bollocks off, you don't lie, you worked hard, you now carry that in you as somebody. I feel like I'm a person that deserves that type of thing because I know who I am based on the things that I've done. You can't act like an arsehole.
Yeah, you certainly get into cycles of behaviour.
Yeah, based on what you've done. Your integrity comes from how you've acted beforehand.
And how you treat yourself and how you act yourself does affect your relationship with others, how you treat other people, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, otherwise you just think, well, I'm a piece of shit, so I can't do that because I know I'm a liar. Or then you get anger, that's a successful person and I fuck them. Yeah, but you're only angry because you were lying and cheating everybody else and being a lazy fuck and knowing you should have done that. But now, bollocks, I'll do it. And now you see people that have made sacrifice and done so, and you get angry at them. As if like, fuck them. You go, because you're angry you're carrying with you a sack full of all the shit that you've done, and you know you're a lowlife. That's your shit. You know you're lazy.
Yeah, and it's often a sign of being unhappy with oneself as well.
Yeah, it's purely that. It's purely that you're angry. I've always said, like, if you get these racists or people that are online being angry at people, if they had a company running and they were married and they were attracted to somebody and they had they would. It would be amazing.
I was thinking this about conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
You're like, you never meet someone who's like really happy and successful.
Yeah, I've got time to get involved with the bullshit. Apart from Trump, maybe Trump.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, and I was thinking, like, is it because that way I can externalize the way my life has gone and just say, well, it's not because bad luck, which often it can be, or it's not because I made some bad choices.
Yeah.
That I haven't managed. I know plenty of people, I'm sure, and obviously, I don't know about you, Charles, but I know you, Theo, obviously you've met some bad people in your life, and some have turned their life around, and some have not. And I know people who've really fucked up big time when they were younger, and they've turned their life. This isn't me going like, a friend of mine, like genuinely a friend of mine,
Yeah.
But you think like the people who are way into, the earth is flat and it's lizard men controlling the earth and it's all this and that and the other, and you go, is that just because it's easier then to accept that a combo of bad luck and or bad choices that you have not attempted to rectify?
Yeah, it's all self-loathing. It really does come back. So you think conspiracy theories, what they can't admit is I'm a stupid, lazy person that's done nothing, right? That's the core of what they are. So they have to overcompensate by that, by saying I can't get anywhere because there's this other thing. And what it also, why it glues to them, what the glue is that holds them there, is it then gives them a little bit of self-esteem that I know something you don't know. Not only am I being held down, I'm actually smarter than you because you don't know the truth about the thing. And then that becomes your fucking self-esteem. So you have to fucking grip onto it of like, not only have I got nothing, but it's because of these reasons. And guess what? I'm actually smarter than you. So fuck you. So it makes them feel good. It just doesn't give them the excuse. It feeds their lack of self-esteem to say, I'm actually better than you are.
Because I mean, it's like, the reason I don't have a job is because of foreigners have taken them all. The reason I don't have a girlfriend is because the feminists have suddenly made it difficult, and they've all made all the women all antsy, so now I can't get a girlfriend. And it's just like, well, maybe try being less of a dickhead, to be fair. maybe try sorting your CV out and do some work.
But they can't.
And maybe also try being less of a dickhead to women, and try being less weird and creepy, and then maybe you get a girlfriend.
I watched a interesting program about incels, and it was weird because they went through the whole. They sort of went through the
Chads and Stacey's and all that.
Yeah, there was a lot of that, and involuntary celibates. This is, and but then there were also, excuse me, it was only a short program. It's on iPlayer. I can't remember. I think it's something like Inside the World of Incels, and they were meeting people, and one was a guy who went around, and you were like. And basically, his whole thing was, he's like, I can't get a girl, I can't get a girl, I can't get a girl. I'm ugly, I'm this, I'm that. He wore a mask. He never saw what he looked like. Excuse me. Like a real like terroristy kind of, balaclava eye color. And he would catfish people, I believe is the word. So so that's where you pretend to be someone else. I can't remember where the term derives from because it's referenced in that documentary. Basically means you pretend to be someone else. So you would pick not Brad Pitt, but because obviously everyone would recognize him, but it would be like picking your whoever you are, and you chooses your dating profile, Brad Pitt, and you say that you've got millions of pounds, and you meet, and this is what this guy did. He would pick some handsome dude like off the internet, just random generic guy.
Catfishes, whatever. Yeah.
Don't catfishes disguise themselves as rocks? I think they act like rocks.
Yeah, something like that. And they I can't remember, but it's something along that lines. It's
so it's fake personality. That's
essentially. So this guy, this particular incel, but there were some guys who would the other end of the spectrum. But this guy was real sort of like very self-loathing, and kind of, I guess it almost become his mantra that he was ugly and couldn't get a girl and blah blah blah.
A self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it?
Yeah. But it was like, well, probably don't yell at them and call them whores and stuff. But that's like, that wouldn't be my opening. But obviously he'd been, let's call it unlucky in love, or hadn't been, whatever, hadn't managed to find a girl, and so now he was waging this war against women. Basically, he would go after, as he deemed it, women who weren't that attractive, but he would then pretend to be this dating profile of this guy, this whoever. He just picked like 10 pictures off, so he would have more than one, and arrange to meet them just for casual sex, and say like, hey, look, I'm not looking for a girlfriend, blah, blah, blah. And then he would meet the guy and say, hey, you're looking to meet Jason or whatever the fuck, the made up name. He said, I'm him, I'm an ugly fat guy, look at me, you're a dirty whore because you just wanted to meet someone, but you think you're better than me, but like, and literally like chasing them out into the car parks or wherever. But then on the flip side of that, you had this guy who was probably, I guess, shy. It's probably quite sort of shy and almost very old fashioned. Just didn't know how to talk to girls, and but like in a really, who does, Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know how to talk to fucking girls. Like, I'm not the kind of person who just go up to a girl and talk to them. I have to I either do the dating app thing where you can have a conversation to begin with, or
you need a formal introduction.
Something like that. I need my squire to send to herald my approach, but
just don't do it and just become a billionaire tech guy who
see now. You're sounding like an incel
who's begging for dates on Twitter.
Just be a Facebook owner or Steve Jobs. To create a company that makes you angry at the world because you can't talk to people face to face.
But it was interesting, the different spectrum of these incels. That there were the guys who were like, I can't get a girl and therefore they're pieces of shit. No. And there's some people very and they showed montages, different people who were some were very sad and very lonely, and that's not me making a judgment on them. They are literally saying, I am sad and I am lonely and I'm and worth it. It was quite really sad. You were like, you're probably, they could be really nice people, but they just, for whatever, they have made it the self-fulfilling prophecy of like, I'm not good enough, and so I'm going to hide in my bedroom. And it's like, well, you're not going to meet anyone hiding in your bedroom if you're not making any kind of. But then there was this other chap who was trying to meet people, but he just couldn't find any luck. And then, it was like by the end of it, he was like, oh, he has met someone, and they were finally going to meet. And you're like, It was like, where's the Disney song?
Where's the ones that didn't make it? What
he was the one
God.
kind of. Yeah, they were I guess they were trying to show that, look, because this guy identified as an incel, but he's like, look, I'm not a far right. Woman hating. I'm an incel under the literal definition of I'm an involuntary celibate because I haven't had a sexual relationship. I can't remember if he'd never had one or if it's certainly been like he maybe had it once.
I wonder what he's talking about. When you said incel, I thought you were talking about terrorists or something.
No. Yeah, well, it's got the connotation because some incels have committed acts of terrorism. There was so the focus point the entry point into the documentary was a young lad who was talking about an incel saying this and that, and he, as well as being far right, he basically went somewhere and shot a load of people.
There's been a couple. There was that gym shooting, I think in Canada or America a few months ago, and then there was the guy, what's his name, the famous guy who drove around and shot loads of ladies.
It might have been that chap. I can't.
He did all those videos and stuff. I forgot his fucking name.
That could be him. Yeah.
He was sort of like the most famous.
Quite young, bit sort of dark,
and perfectly normalish looking guy. You know what I mean? He was, but he was a bit of a dickhead, and just. It's a weird thing because it's like a politicized movement. It is like a movement within itself, and it ties into the men's rights, the manonist stuff, and was it men going their own way, MGTOW, which is like a thing you see online as well, and that's all. Again, it's the sort of the political wing of this.
But you say you see it online, but it's really very much like it's only there if you are told about it. I think it's one of those very odd things. Like, again, I'd only heard the term incel from news pieces and documentaries about it. I'd only heard that thing you just said in the MG. God, sorry, I lost it. But I watched it again. There was another documentary about like there was a guy saying, I am a men's rights activist, and I was like, what's a men's rights activist? That wasn't that probably sounded but it was genuinely like, what's a men's rights activist? Because kind of but their point was, because my thing is obviously was like, but we have rights. I know there's talk of, and that did come up in the documentary, about how custody cases often favour, in inverted commas, the woman in the relationship.
Yeah, and men have very high suicide rates, and those are literally the two talking points. Like, men have a larger suicide rate than ladies. So like those are the two things that they focus on a lot. So the two disparities, but I think there's more sort of social things with them.
Yeah, there was a weird thing where it said something like, even the people doing the document. So it was a chap he was a German guy. He was gay, and he'd done gay porn for a couple of years, but sort of had left that behind him, because his thing was like, I thought that porn was very negative, because it's saying you've got to be this, you've got to be that, you've got to look a certain way, sex is aggressive, blah blah blah. And he was like, I was trying to make it more, I suppose, more realistic. Well, sort of, as in, it's not just like, sex isn't just like ramming the other person. Like, there is, trying to make it more isn't it, trying to make it more romantic and things like that. And he just said, look, I realized that wasn't going to work. Me in the porn industry wasn't going to change that, so he stopped doing it. But then I can't remember what it was he did. He owned like a shop in Scotland. I can't remember what he was doing. There was quite an interesting point where because he let people into the shop, but he says, we're just doing a documentary, but just have a look around. And so he was talking, and then the people that had come into the shop, he says, just come and don't mind us, we're just doing the thing. They'd left, and then you heard the woman saying, do you hear what that fucking guy was talking about? And he went out to try and speak to her, and he said, don't you want to? And she said, no, I don't want to talk to you. So it was quite interesting. But then on the flip side, the documentary, he'd gone to some conference and there was some stat that said something like, actually more men are victims of domestic abuse in relationships than women. And the documentarian sort of, at that point, was one of the few times he interjected, and he went, that's not true, but it is statistically,
higher
that is
than
not.
You think.
It's higher than you. But it was I think it's 1 in 4. I could be wrong. I might just plug.
It was 1 in 8. I've heard.
Okay, but it is it is a high number. You go, okay.
It's higher than you probably think. It's actually a thing.
So the documentarian wasn't dismissive of that. But he's saying, we're saying statistics show that women are far more likely to be victims of domestic abuse. You're saying the statistics are thingy, but it was immediately goes, but those statistics are faked or whatever, part of the feminist agenda. And he was like, okay, so you're saying that these statistics are fake, but those ones you've got are real? He said, yeah. And it was kind of one of those bits in the doc where you go,
start packing up the
I was sort of
microphone.
I was sort of willing to listen a little bit and kind of go, because he wasn't a ranting, raving, women are evil, women are bad, but there were people in there. Your old friend Sargon of Akkad was in there, Charles. And
prick.
He's
fucking empty-headed little fucking.
I've forgotten his real name now.
Carl Benjamin.
Benjamin, yes. Because I only recognised him because he was in that documentary about Count Dankula, and
that fucking nitwit.
Which is, again, but it was just like, because I can't remember why I think because Sargon had championed Count Dankula, or they were friends. I can't recall. He was only briefly in the documentary. I feel like we've just completely lost the. What are you even saying? Count Dankula and
just Count Dankula, Sargon. What the fuck? Men go their own way. What the?
Yeah, these are their sort of internet aliases. But he was in there, and
of course I think
he did say something about I can say this. So he's
and a feminist, anti-feminist or something.
Yes, okay. I think that's. I don't know if he identifies as an anti-feminist. So I would say he certainly challenges some aspects of the feminist movement. As in,
he's sort of come out as being a white supremacist recently. So.
Oh, has he? Well, as
kind
in
of.
But does he refer
as
to
in a
himself
white
as white
only Britain, mass deportations.
Oh, has he? Oh, okay.
Like blood, lineage testing. Make sure everyone, you can't be this white to stay in England.
Yeah, I listened to a little bit of his,
warning.
and I was just like, okay, fine. Yeah, I can't remember. It was one of those weird things you fall down a YouTube black hole and you're like, oh, what's this thing? I think because it was called Sargon of Akkad, and I was like, oh, what's Sargon of Akkad? And it was some
Mesopotamian.
Yeah, it was something like that. And I thought, oh, okay, so it could be a history YouTube channel that I could care about. And it was like, oh, okay, it's not that.
No, he just reads Guardian articles and just gets very angry at them, and it's just like
but he did feature briefly in this documentary, this men's right act, but as I say, it focused on this gentleman. I can't remember his name now. But it was just up to that point you're like, okay, I mean, I sort of I kind of get, he was saying that men are being told that they're bad and men are being told this, and it was sort of like, yeah, but I don't, the Me Too thing wasn't saying all men bad. And I can't remember if it was the Me Too thing, but it was sort of around this thing that the discourse on the internet is that men are bad, men are rapists, men are this, men are that. And I was like, well, okay, but right, I'll keep listening, whatever. Yeah. And then when it was just these stats are wrong, my stats are right kind of thing, you went...
So your whole argument's based on bullshit.
Yeah, then I was just like, well, there's only 2 minutes left on the documentary, I'll stick with it. If it'd been like another half hour, I'd have been like, nah, you're right.
But it's I mean it's like, if you're gonna, where's the line? What criteria are you using? Basically, you're using the criteria of this doesn't support my beliefs, this does, you know what I mean? And it's just like when people disregard, say, oh, the mainstream media, all the media is crap, oh, it's just all lies, all propaganda, except for the bits that I like. You know what I mean? Except for occasionally, like the Mail or the Fox News will say something that I agree with, and that's all right. But the rest of it's all propaganda and made up.
It's the BBC, isn't it? It's every time, if they ever run a piece that's critical of whatever Labour's manifesto, then they're Tory government shills working, they're basically right-wing fascists and And then if they do a bit criticising the government's, say, response to coronavirus, it's typical lefty, or they publish something about Brexit going wrong, it's like, oh, lefty metropolitan elite, BBC, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, well, which is it?
Yeah. They're in a bit of a problem, aren't they?
It's definitely a sign of, like, again, the Western sort of weakness thing of, like, we've got nothing to do. We're not struggling. We're not fighting for anything. So we're just going to whinge and moan and bitch about the smallest little things that aren't really real. Whereas, if you had things to actually focus on in life, you wouldn't have time for all this crap. This wouldn't be the focus of your life.
There was one, it was, the show's not on. Well, I think it might have moved over to the Sky One, but Russell Howard's, I think it was called Good News, and he would try and put, although he acknowledged that the world isn't sunshine and farts, but he would say, like, here's some good stories, here's some funny stories and whatnot, and also try and counter people, saying that the world is doomed and everything. And I can't remember, it was people talking about whatever it was, but saying, convinced that this was going to happen like that, and he just cut back to me. He was screaming at the camera, so I won't do it to just to stress out our very kind producer Kareem, but he was like, no, you're creating your own misery. We've got this one life, and you're making it miserable. Why? It was so funny because you were like, yeah, why are you? I think I mentioned before that. Did I mention to you guys that my mother, for a time, she stopped doing it now, but she make time for the 5 p.m. coronavirus update.
Oh, I was watching most of them, to be honest.
Yeah, but I'm like, why?
Not every day. I work on the premise that big news, important news will find you one way. You'll hear it, you'll
someone will
see
text
it.
you, yeah.
Other the rest is just your delusion that you're being held down. It's creating emotions inside you that are not needed to be there. I was about 18. I remember looking at somebody going, why are you reading that newspaper? That's just some people's opinions of something and it's making you angry. And then I saw about 4 years ago, Stephen Fry had stopped. He said, I don't watch newspapers and I read it. I said, fucking of course. Why are you only catching on to that now? Do you not watch the news? That you're not learning any. It's just making you feel shit. It's manipulating you. It annoys me when I log on to Yahoo and I've got it's that few seconds of stupid fucking articles that nobody can spell correctly. And every one of them's a fucking bullshit fishhook to get you to look at the article.
Yeah.
That's never what it says. So it's just this: stay away from news, adverts and news. Stay away from them. That is.
I usually have a quick look at the news once a day, like 5 minutes.
Yeah, see what? But the people that get the newspaper and sit there and read it, go, oh God, like you.
Well, also, who has that fucking time?
Yeah.
Retired people. That's
I guess so. But, it's like, and yesterday I looked at it and I was like, oh, little Richard died. That sucks.
Oh yeah, that was
really?
yeah. Because I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I saw they had a little bit on BBC News or whatever, and I was like, as soon as you see an older celebrity on the news like that, you're just like, oh,
who was
that's
once
a
nice.
shame.
Oh yeah, celebrities.
It's always like, oh God, are they dead or did they fuck a kid?
It's almost like, oh well, at least they died with honour. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
They got away with it.
You say that, and then
no.
You're like, I'm going to give it a week until the stories come out.
It's a sad state of affairs that you could be seen as sort of like a decent celebrity if you just got through the 80s without molesting anybody.
Yeah,
like, that's enough.
I went through a period where I was like, I was going, oh, I haven't heard of that actor. I wonder what they're up to. I wonder what this person's up to. I haven't seen them in a film for 5 years. I wonder what's their name. And it got to a point where every single actor every Hollywood actor I was Googling, like you go like 2 or 3 articles down, you're like, oh no, oh no.
It is weird because when I saw something about what was his name? Who's the Fonzie? Henry Winkler.
Yeah.
And honest to God, that's like the site I've grown up in now. But when I was looking at him, there's people saying, oh, nice things about him. I thought he got away with like no perversions, no paedophilia, nothing in a time when he could have got away with it. So it was like, oh, what a guy. Like, what? He could have got away with it. And there's no reference of internet in the future that he could have done what he wanted, but he didn't. It's so fucking sad that is.
Yeah, didn't rape anyone, didn't murder his wife. You're like, wow, what a decent human being.
Yeah, it was funny to watch the when I listened to old comedies, and it's got you had a string of like working class comedies, the on the buses and things like that, and Only Fools and Horses, British comedies, and then you speak to the actors, you hear the actors speaking, and it's they've all got like upper class voices, like upper class. So when you go back and watch them, I can't watch them because it's like, oh, here's a working class bloke. He's just after birds. He's just after food.
Yeah, cheeky. Yeah.
Have you ever heard? I think he might have passed away now. The actor who played Boise in Only Fools and Horses.
Yeah.
You know the one in Marlene?
Yeah, Marlene. Yeah.
Have you ever heard him talk normally?
No. Yes. He's go, hello.
He's terribly posh. It's like Pam St. Clement from Pat Butcher, and then you hear her talk normally. You're like,
Dot Cotton as well. Dot Cotton has very affected. It's slightly affected, but it's just like hello.
So it sort of becomes an offensive accent when you look at what they actually pronounce like the English language.
Well, we're back to Hercules again, and
Well, that's a nice little bow that's been tied over the show.
Oh, look at that! It's like we planned
full circle. Yeah, brilliant.
We're Looper.
We'll end it. Anything exciting going on? Nothing happening.
No.
Charles, you haven't been in any more pain.
Yeah, I'm a bit better now. I am mostly better now.
But you just continue to ignore it, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course he is.
Standard man stuff. Yeah.
Andrew,
I'm certainly not going back to hospital now.
Yeah. Well, there's no point.
Genuinely.
You just went on a car ride and came back again.
And I told you they made me go back and forth between the two departments over and over again. I was just like, nonsense, man. I remember saying let's just go home. After I've been to the 3rd or 4th department, I was like, you know what? I don't care anymore. I just want to go home.
Just going to get the shotgun and euthanize myself. And
they're not going to do anything. They're going to test me. So
I hurt my arm and I went to the doctor because it wouldn't go away. So I went to the doctors. I was thinking, and I'd already just had disappointed with doctors over, so I don't go to them. But it was there. I went there and they were telling me all stuff that I knew it wasn't. So I went back. They said, do this. The first time they always tell you to do nothing. It's just, see. And I've had to take a fucking day off and pay parking and all that just for that. I went back, still nothing. Well, we're going to send you to a specialist. Waited about 3 months. Saw the specialist. The specialist is saying the thing I knew from the start that I told the doctor. She said it'll be okay. It's probably not that. And I was literally sat there with my legs hanging off the thing thinking, fuck me. What the fuck have I, what a waste.
Your legs up in the stirrups, yeah?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if you want to be saying fuck me
right.
when you're in a position like that.
It's my arm I came in for, I
think there was a few doctors.
What's that tub of lube for?
I think there's a few scandals that with like women where they've gone to like a doctor's for one thing and they go, why do you need to check my breasts? My foot hurts.
Oh, God, that's that film, Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
It's
the one the nanny, the psycho nanny,
yeah. So basically, this lady goes for a gynecological exam, and he takes it too far.
Oh God!
And so she, I think
that should be female anyway. What are you doing?
Takes it as a third date.
And I think she initially kind of is like, what should I say? Anything? Should I say anything? And then I think she tells someone else, and they're like, yeah, same happened to me. Basically, it comes out, and so he goes to, I think he kills himself, or he goes to jail and then kills himself. Basically, like all these women, and then that's the jumping off point for someone exacting their revenge upon her.
But I always say this, like when you say I want to be a politician, that should automatically put a red strike through your application. I want to be that you're the wrong person. And when you go, I'm a doctor, I've studied all these years, blah blah. Yeah, okay, I want to specialise. What do you want to specialise in? Child, no, I want to be a gynecologist. Like, why is it you want to specialise in that? That's an odd. Like, what for your wife? Oh, hi, dear. You have been a doctor for 7 years. I want to specialise. Maybe child. Do you want to do something with children? No. Tumours. Do you want to fight cancer? No. I'm going to specialise in gynecology. I want a divorce. That should be a women thing. That's just for the sake of the dignity of the women. That should not be allowed to be male. No way. Come off it. Why have you chosen that as your thing? Like no, because you have to specialise in it. So you've chosen that. And for women, you go, well, there's no gain there. For a male, don't stop pretending male ain't apes. That's what you're lying to yourself about. Pretending they're not a doctor. They're still a human being. So that should not be for men. That should be for women.
Actually, I was talking about this ages ago with someone at work, just like how men are just sex pigs. Yeah. And because that's the thing with women breastfeeding in public, like it's all the sex pig men trying to get a look. Because men are just sex pigs, just truffling sex
and there's
pigs.
No nastiness, they wouldn't do anything, but you go, that's still for the dignity of women, that should be a thing to make them more comfortable. You shouldn't have a male doing that. No way. No way.
I think you can ask. They're
not a doctor first and a human being second. They're a human being first and a doctor second. So you go in it with that paradigm. That's what it is. Nothing to do with being nasty. It's for the dignity of the women to feel comfortable.
Yeah,
well, I don't know. Maybe, but if the women do feel comfortable, I mean, I'll be honest. Like again, we've got 3 men here talking about what we think women should be doing here.
Nothing better than 3 men in a room talking about women's rights. Yeah.
So what about we did that earlier, didn't we? What about if you needed to get your balls examined? You would want a man or a woman to do that, or?
That should be male again. But then you go, well, what if they're a gay male? That's my argument against my problem. You go, well, yeah, okay, so you're back to the square one again.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think you can discriminate and say, because again, doesn't mean just because he's gay, he rampantly wants to.
No, but it's the situation there. But again, what changing rooms? That's the problem with it. You go, well, you should have male, you should have female. Okay, because the sex thing is just natural. You can't help it. It's not going to do anything, but it's about the pressure of that.
Yeah, but some bloke would. Some bloke would. Yeah, exactly. But everyone else.
But I mean, generally, it's done because it's just polite to not have that pressure. You go, okay, so what about gays in a male gym? That's to say, you're back to the same problem. It doesn't matter whether they're male or female. It's a sexual desire. You're in the room where somebody has a sexual desire.
Yeah, but again, I think it's people who do have control. Obviously, there's always going to be the odd, as I say, there's the odd person. It's not about somebody doing
anything. It's about, that's why it doesn't happen. They don't have male and female change because the men are going to rape the women. It's because that's the done thing. Although I did know a guy, he said in the 60s, he said in the gyms, in the showers, it was just mixed. He said, like, think of that, it was just mixed. How fucking odd's that in Gold's Gym? In Gold's Gym. He said people come in, they watch, but it was the 60s, so everyone was a bit more free anyway with their bodies. Now everyone's a rapist or a paedophile. Like everybody, you're supposed to be scared of everybody.
Speak for yourself there.
Maybe.
No, well, if you read newspapers, then everyone's going to attack your child. Everyone's a rapist. Everyone's, But yeah, they said no. People just you'd have a woman in. Yeah, can I borrow the shampoo thing?
You have a mixed shower, and you are just going to get some weird old man who's just in the shower.
Yeah, you can have 10 years of nobody
just constantly lathering himself up, just like I can see that.
But here's the thing. Then, if you're going to have males, and a lot of them are gay, is that the same thing? Is it like, well, you've got gays, they know you're attracted to you. There's a guy that was on a podcast and he was saying he goes to, I don't want to say the gym, but it was in Hollywood, and he's saying it's basically full of gay guys just trying it on with to the point where it's annoying. He said they're just trying it on with you all the time. They shout.
Yeah.
So that's basically the same thing, but you don't deviate there. You don't go, well, we'll have gay people here.
No, but sometimes like there are sort of places you're like, okay, like a gay bar. I mean, if you go to a gay bar and you're like, why are all these guys hitting on me? This is weird.
That's different. That's a specific place. If you're going to a gym, you go, well, men and women can't go to the same changing room, of course. Okay, but then what about gay people?
Yeah, but I think most times I've been to a gay, I always get the impression that they know I'm not gay. Like I don't know if gay is a genuinely real thing.
My argument against myself regarding the argument against myself is like, okay, well you are saying, yeah, okay, we should have different change rooms, but what if they're gay? Okay, well then you should deviate again. But you go,
yeah, but I worry that
my thing is. There's a physical difference between,
isn't there?
No, but but then you got the physical difference between men and women, so it's not really the same as gay and males because you're still two males. If you a man and a woman, it's not about the sex; it's about one can overpower the other one quite easily. Whereas not so much if a gay man and a gay man and a straight man is not really that bad. But yeah, it's just like where does it stop? Like, what do you deviate? It's like, well, if they're sexually attracted to me, then they shouldn't be in the changing rooms with me. But you can't really put any.
Yeah, but what happens if you're just not sexually? You don't find that person physically attractive? You get a little tick.
But then you could say that with men and women. I don't find her attractive, so why not just have mixed? Do you see what I mean? It's the same thing. The only thing that I think is the physical difference, like the physicality of. I would be more scared of that person than a bloke with a gay bloke. He's not going to be that different. This has gone very messy.
You went very weird. You've talked yourself
off of offending some people.
We were trying to wrap this up, and then all of a sudden we got to
Theo was like, "Let me tell you what I've got here."
Right. So let's go to a really complicated subject. Yeah.
There's no intelligence to be taken from changer room talk.
Yeah.
Right, so what I was saying is, Andrew, have you got anything exciting that's been happening?
I was meant to be starting that writing job on Monday, but it's been pushed to next Monday. Hopefully it's not pushed to never. But I'm a little bit like, oh god, is this that?
Have you got a deposit?
I'm sorry?
Have you been paid a deposit?
No, I haven't. That's the other thing. But they do seem really not. I do take it as a joke because they had said like it's all a bit up in the air because they're finalising all the things. So I did kind of take it, and it's not some random person off the internet who posted an ad for a job. It's a legitimate company that have this and then and I've signed a thing. So I take it that, and I take it. I'm sort of taking it as a bit of a blessing because I have that other script I need to finish, and I'd sort of said to them, I should be able to get that for you mid-May. But obviously, if I was working full time next week, that would have been a bit tricky.
But what do you do? Why do you, when you're doing 3 different things like that at once? How do you say, well, I'm going to stop writing on that one, I'm going to start writing on that one?
No, I'm not. So the script is there wasn't like a mega it must be in by X date because we're shooting blah blah blah. I think they're looking to shoot the end of this year, but obviously they're like a first draft now. So so that was
you go on depending on who wants the thing nearest the quickest.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I mean, because I can't do too much on the thing I was meant to be starting this week, but now next week, because that is kind of on assignment. They're going to say here's the what you need to write. I can't prep for it beyond doing basically the research that I've already done for with them. So there's only
you've got to keep all those plates spinning, don't you?
Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah. So the other thing is that's on my own time.
That's the sort of general rule of the lower working classes.
Yeah, but I've sort of taken it as a blessing. I've taken it as a blessing that actually, although it's another week without specifically earning money, I'm like, well, it means it's another week to get this script done without stressing and, and rather than trying to serve 2 masters and failing both, I can now work on the script without worry. I might have the odd thing come in and whatever.
Yeah, so it's good, but it's a good little bonus. Yeah, more time is, Yeah. But when you're freelancing, time is very,
right, well, that'll do us. Come up to, right, oh no. So that's basically done then. Then you've had your lot. We've gone over all, God knows how many different types of subjects there. Gynecology, totalitarianism, Karl Marx.
Bit of everything.
I've got quite a list here.
Yeah.
I was thinking actually to do a podcast on pick some 5 philosophers and give their sort of rights and wrongs of their point of view, about life. So, I've still got. We might as well do the North Korea one because old isn't dying yet, is he?
Apparently, he faked his death or faked his demise so that he would expose traitors.
Right. So he's a hologram then. Cool.
Yeah. There we go. Down another little slippery slide.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay, so we'll end it here. Don't hang up. So that was another show, basically.
He's talking to us, not listeners.
That was a show.
Yay.
And that is another show.
That is true. No one can dispute that was
definitely
a show.
And I would like to, once again, let people know it was a free podcast. You have not been charged. You've lost an hour, but you have not been charged for it.
More than that.
Lots of brain cells, but it didn't cost you anything. Yeah.
Just cut off. Well, you can't do it. Go back to the philosophy bit. When that ended, just cut the podcast
just clip
there.
That. That's fine. Yeah, just clip
we'll
that.
stick that up.
Yeah, maybe skip over the whole changing rooms.
Yeah. Well, that's it done. So that's the podcast.
Cool.
See you later.
All right. Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Do, 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 do.
Cool.